Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the OFCCP Construction Basics series. It's our great honor at the Washington State Construction Center of Excellence to host this series in partnership with the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. I'm Christina Rupp, the director of the CCE. So the CCE is the convening and resource hub for Washington's construction industry, fostering partnerships between business, labor, government, and education systems. The CCE focuses on enhancing workforce development, removing apprenticeship and skilled trades entry barriers, and preparing a strong, knowledgeable, diverse workforce. And you can learn more about our center at www.constructioncoe.com. It's my pleasure to introduce today's representative from the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, or OFCCP. And our guest today is Ed Cunningham, Regional Outreach Technical Advisor. Ed, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to your presentation.
Okay, can everyone hear me today? I just want to make sure everyone hears me. If we're good, I think that'll work. And I also want to make sure everyone sees my PowerPoint currently.
Absolutely. You're set to go, Ed.
Okay, thank you so much, Christina. Once again, welcome to today's presentation on OFCCP's Mega Construction Project Program. In short, we just call it Mega Project. Once again, my name is Ed Cunningham. I'm assigned as one of the Pacific Region's Outreach Technical Advisors for the region. Let's move to the next step. Next step, we'll talk about the overview of OFCCP. Today, we will give you a brief overview of OFCCP, what we do, and then focus on the Mega Construction Project Program and the requirements of federal construction contractors. And we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation to address any questions that you may have. OFCCP is a civil rights agency within the U.S. Department of Labor with jurisdiction over federal contractors, which employs 1/5 of the American workforce. We enforce laws to ensure companies doing business with the federal government do not engage in unlawful discrimination, and that they comply with the requirements to take affirmative action to ensure that all qualified applicants and employees have equal employment opportunities in the workplace. And next slide, we'll talk about authorities of OFCCP enforces. OFCCP enforces one executive order, and 2 statutes. Executive Order 11246 applies to employers with federal contracts and subcontracts and federally assisted construction contracts and subcontracts of more than $10,000. It prohibits these employers from discriminating in their hiring and other employment decisions based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Additionally, it protects applicants and employees from personal actions, including firing for asking about, discussing, or disclosing their pay or the pay of their coworkers. Then we talk about Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act, which applies to federal contractors and subcontractors of more than $15,000 and prohibits discrimination against job applicants and employees based on disability. And finally, we have the Vietnam Era Veterans Readjustment Assistance Act, also known as VEVRAA, applies to federal contractors and subcontractors of $150,000 or more and prohibits discrimination in all personal practices for protected veterans. All these legal authorities also require that federal contractors take certain affirmative action to ensure equal employment opportunity. For example, outreach and recruitment activities. Next slide, we'll talk about what does OFCCP do. OFCCP conducts compliance evaluations of federal contractors. Annually, OFCCP conducts between 3,000 and 4,000 compliance evaluations, including construction evaluations. During a compliance evaluation, OFCCP will analyze a company's employment policies, practices, including practices related to hiring, outreach and recruitment, hours worked, promotions, compensation, terminations, to ensure that discrimination has not occurred. In the last 2 fiscal years, OFCCP's resolutions have recovered more than $52 million for over 34,000 workers and job seekers experiencing discrimination. OFCCP also investigates complaints alleging employment discrimination. Applicants or employees may file complaints of discrimination against federal contractors if they believe discrimination has occurred. These may be filed by individuals or by groups. Additionally, OFCCP engages in outreach and educational efforts to provide contractors with the tools they need to meet their legal obligations and to establish long community partnerships to connect employers with qualified workers. Also, OFCCP educates workers on their workplace rights. Next slide, we'll talk about mega projects. So now we've covered some of the basic information about OFCCP. Let's talk about why we are all here today. OFCCP's Mega Construction Project Program. On March 14th, 2023, OFCCP launched its Mega Project Program. OFCCP's Mega Project Program is an initiative within the agency's broader construction enforcement and outreach program. Through the Mega Project Program, OFCCP focuses the agency's efforts to bring the public and private sectors together on a select group of projects known as mega projects to foster equal opportunity in the construction trade workforce. Projects eligible for a designation as a mega project must be valued at a minimum of $35 million or more in funding, funded at least partially with federal funds, and expected to last more than 1 year. Let's talk about the benefits of the program. From the earliest stages of a designated mega project, OFCCP will leverage its field offices across the country to provide free, on-the-ground assistance to contractors to strengthen their hiring, recruitment, and employment practices. We'll work directly with contractors to help build a pipeline of qualified applicants and deepen community relationships to address barriers that keep workers from accessing jobs. Our past experience demonstrates that this intentional strategy focused on recruitment and outreach can help to ensure equal employment opportunities and advance equity on the projects. We'll talk about the milestones. This slide shows the mega project milestones. First, OFCCP designates projects by applying a neutral criteria. From the early stages, OFCCP begins conducting outreach by engaging the funding agency, the project sponsor, and the local stakeholders. The next major milestone includes the prime contractors' solicitations and OFCCP's participation in the pre-bid meetings. During these pre-bid meetings, OFCCP explains the requirements set forth in our regulations, as well as the roles of the funding agency, or the applicant, OFCCP and the prime contractor on the mega project. Once the prime contractor is selected, OFCCP provides front-end compliance assistance, including assistance with recruitment, outreach. This front-end approach can be an effective strategy for increasing the contractor's compliance with equal opportunity requirements and the representation of qualified workers from underrepresented groups in the construction trades. As soon as possible after the prime contractor has been selected, OFCCP and the prime contractor convene an EEO committee, which is comprised of local stakeholders that will meet regularly to discuss the strategies to remove barriers to opportunities for diverse populations on these job sites. Finally, 6 to 12 months after the work begins on a project, OFCCP will begin conducting construction compliance evaluations or audits. The next slide will talk about OFCCP's responsibilities. On March 21st, OFCCP published a list of designated 12 mega projects to identify the first set of designated mega projects. OFCCP partnered with the Department of Transportation and the General Service Administration on a bipartisan infrastructure law funded projects. So how did the Department of Transportation and the General Service Administration partner with OFCCP and its mega program? In December of 2022, OFCCP entered into an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the U.S. General Service Administration Public Building Service, GSA. This MOU established procedures to ensure that OFCCP receives prompt notifications of eligible mega projects, as well as information about such projects in the planning and pre-solicitation stages. In addition to providing OFCCP notice of eligible mega projects approved for funding, GSA also agreed to require projects with costs above $35 million to partner with OFCCP. If selected by OFCCP as a condition of the award, and include this requirement in project documents, for example, solicitations, notices, offers, and bid documents, drop contract language in the chat. So we also have contract language that we put in these contracts. They are predetermined languages that the funding agency or the award agency would give to the prime contractor. In addition to the MOU between OFCCP and GSA, the U.S. Department of Labor entered into an MOU with the Department of Transportation, where the agency detailed its commitment to using the bipartisan infrastructure law, or bill, funds to support equitable workforce development pathways into good jobs, including OFCCP's mega programs. From this pool of eligible GSA and DOT mega projects, OFCCP applied a neutral selection criteria on the projects that were awarded pursuant to Notice of Funding Opportunities, or NOFOs, by the Department of Transportation that included language requiring projects to participate in mega project programs if designated by OFCCP, or pursuant to MOU provisions by the General Service Administration requiring projects to participate in the mega projects program if designated by OFCCP, with such language to be included in all solicitation notices. This methodology for develop the FY23 designated mega projects list provided 9 bill funded projects from DOT and 3 from GSA. Now we'll talk about designated projects. On October 6, 2023, OFCCP designated an additional 12 mega projects. For these 12 designated mega projects, OFCCP partnered with Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, General Service Administration, and the Environmental Protection Agency. Each of these agencies has entered into an MOU with the U.S. Department of Labor, detailing their commitment to using the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or bill, funds to support eligible, equitable workforce development pathways into good jobs, including to OFCCP's mega projects. OFCCP developed this list of mega projects by applying a neutral criteria to a pool of eligible mega projects provided to OFCCP by these agencies. Specifically, the projects in the pool were awarded pursuant to notice of fundings by DOT, DOE, EPA, and DOL that included language required projects to participate in the mega project program if designated by OFCCP pursuant to the MOU by GSA requiring the participation in the mega projects. This is the same thing because we had mega projects that were dropped in FY23 and mega projects that dropped in FY24. So the same language, but expanded by the agencies. On April 25th, 2024, OFCCP designated an additional 16 mega projects. These newly designated mega project buildings on OFCCP's designation of 24 mega projects in March and October of 2024 for the 16 newly designated mega projects, OFCCP partnered with Department of Commerce, Department of Energy, Department of Interior, Department of Transportation, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. OFCCP developed this list of mega projects by applying a neutral criteria pool to the eligible mega projects provided by OFCCP and these agencies. The methodology for developing this list provided by the 8 bill-funded projects for DOT were 4 from DOT, 3 from Department of Energy, and 1, I'm sorry, I got that. There's 8 funded by Department of Transportation, 4 by Department of Energy, and 3 by U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and 1 by DOL. Now, you may be asking, what happens after a project gets designated as a mega project? First, OFCCP senior leadership notifies the funding agency, national and headquarters level leadership of OFCCP's designation of its project as a mega project. Shortly after that, OFCCP regional leadership contact the appropriate funding agency or project sponsor contact to request a meeting to provide an overview of OFCCP, including the laws it enforces, explains the mega project initiative, and explains the role of the funding agency and project sponsor and OFCCP, and to assert any available information about the project, for example, information from the stages of the project. So OFCCP representatives will contact the funding agency, ask about the status of the project, what are the stages of the project, where they have a better understanding how to conduct outreach and recruitment for the project. Where necessary, OFCCP will also provide the funding agency or project sponsor with the required language that should be included in all applicable project documents, notices of solicitation, offers, bid documents, and so on. This information can be found at 41 CFR 44.2 subpart D and 41 CFR 60-4.3 and any other required language applicable by NOFO and grant agreements can be found at these locations. The funding agency or project sponsor is responsible for funding the project. In addition, on designated mega projects, the funding agency must include the equal opportunity notice and clauses in its request for bids and in its specifications. Involve OFCCP early in the process. We are there to assist in understanding the obligations by educating the funding agency and contractors and subcontractors on the project of the requirements of OFCCP. In addition, we are there to facilitate the engagement of community organizations capable of providing qualified individuals to fill job openings. Funding agencies also play an important role in establishing and participating in an EEO committee on mega projects, identifying EEO manager, and monitoring affirmative action progress. Close coordination between OFCCP and the funding agency is the key to a successful mega project. Next, we'll talk about prime contractors. Prime or general contractors on a mega construction project also will assist OFCCP to ensure the contractors and unions in the initiative and what this means. First, it means inviting the subcontractors and unions to participate in meetings at which OFCCP and other government agencies explain the relevant legal requirements. Some prime contractors make it a condition of getting a subcontract that the subcontractors must attend such meetings with OFCCP. Second, it means working with OFCCP to create an EEO committee with assistance of the funding agency and OFCCP. The prime contractor convenes this committee and comprises of key stakeholders from the project, including the community, which meets routinely to discuss the staffing on the project and the compliance with the EEO requirements. The committee provides an important mechanism for connecting the subcontractors with sources of qualified workers, including women and minorities. We will discuss the EEO committees in more detail in a couple of slides. The prime or general contractors are also responsible for monitoring the overall EEO progress on the project, where reports of hours and worked by certain groups are required by the funding agency, project owner, and project labor agreements, or otherwise. The prime contractor collects those reports from the subcontractors, compiles and submits them to OFCCP. They also require the reports and discuss them with the subcontractors. Many prime contractors choose to collect this information and review it with the subcontractors voluntarily because they know that doing so is the most effective way to ensure the outreach to and recruitment of qualified workers, including women and minorities, occurs and that there is no discrimination in hiring, training, compensation, or other opportunities. Next, we'll talk about subcontractors' obligations. First and foremost, all contractors agree to promote and support EEO on the project. Contractors also ensure compliance with OFCCP laws and regulations. In order for mega projects to work properly, the prime and subcontractors must work closely with OFCCP and the funding agency to take other important steps, including participating in the EEO committee meetings. They also must comply with affirmative action obligations and monitor the staffing and goals progress. Now we'll talk about EEO committees. Now that we've turned to the EEO committees, the purpose of an EEO committee is to develop and maintain relationships and engage all the relevant stakeholders, including those from the community, in discussing strategies for removing barriers to employ qualified workers, including those from underrepresented groups. These strategies may include robust outreach, training, and recruitment efforts. The committee is convened by the prime contractor and OFCCP with the goal of achieving a robust applicant pool for the mega projects that include qualified women, minorities, individuals with disabilities, and protected veterans. The EEO committee provides a structured forum for bringing the prime contractor, subcontractor, unions, and communities resources together to talk about the projects and specifically address the EEO committees. The EEO committees will, one, establish meeting dates based on the most appropriate frequency of meetings. At a minimum, these meetings should be quarterly and more often when hiring on the mega project is anticipated. Two, engage important information about outreach, recruitment, training, and job opportunities, including activities related to ensure that equal employment opportunities for females or all qualified workers, including women and minorities, is skilled trades. Conduct training on the laws, history, and applications of affirmative action and non-discrimination of employment at federal contracting, creating equitable work sites. These meetings should also provide an opportunity for contractors to communicate technical assistance needs to OFCCP and other worker protection agencies at the federal, state, and local levels. 4, review the data on the utilization reports that the prime contractor may provide to identify trades in which there is underutilization of particular groups. And 5, identify, brainstorm, and develop recommendations to address issues. Example, any obstacles to equal opportunity for particular groups or trades. This includes overcoming barriers to employment opportunities and coming up with strategies for subcontractors to use for their outreach and recruitment. 6, plan joint outreach recruitment activities to attract diverse applicants, overcome barriers for equal opportunity. For example, a number of EEO committees on OFCCP mega projects have planned joint job fairs out of which qualified workers were hired either on the mega projects or by the subcontractors on other jobs in the area. In some of these job fairs, the community training programs and other recruitment sources participated so that workers become more aware of the services and programs offered. Next slide is going to be the EEO committee members. The EEO committee is made up of a number of groups as listed on this slide. Going over the list, standard members include the, oops, sorry, I think I went, somehow it got skipped forward. Sorry. The funding agency and project owner, if different, the prime or general contractor on the project and subcontractors, OFCCP and federal enforcement agencies such as DOL's Wage and Hour Division and Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, state and local civil rights enforcement agencies, and then labor unions, trade women groups, and other worker organizations. Pre-apprenticeships and apprenticeships and other worker training programs that are engaged in training and referring individuals with construction trade experience, such as American Job Center, Youth Build, or Job Corps, or other community recruitment sources, other groups that may be included on the local job center and apprenticeship agencies, or community-based organizations that promote construction trades, and tribal employment rights offices. OFCCP can assist with ensuring that the key stakeholders are included on the committees. While this slide shows a list of many potential members of EEO committees, it is not intended to be exclusive. In the end, the key to a successful mega project is a diverse and engaged EEO committee. Now we'll talk about past mega projects. In this slide, we have several of the projects that were successfully completed under OFCCP mega project programs. Let's take, for example, the John Campbell Federal Courthouse in Mobile, Alabama. This was a $100 million project completed in 2020. Some of the key takeaways of this partnership under OFCCP mega programs were early in the pre-bid process, prior to the selection of the prime contractor for the project and prior to the construction beginning, OFCCP held EEO committee meetings for information sharing and networking. The meetings highlighted the ongoing efforts to connect stakeholders with construction contractors. The prime contractor provided a 4-year completion plan and addressed questions to improve Native American and minority and female representation on the project. The completion plan listed jobs and work requirements needed. The mega project had a major economic and employment impact on the community, including creation of more than 140 jobs in the trade occupation. The hiring included 57 Black workers, 3 Native American workers, and 12 female workers. OFCCP held numerous compliance assistance and outreach and educational events with subcontractors, a tribal organization, a career center, managers, women in construction organizations, and other agencies and community-based organizations. OFCCP's Indian and Native American Employment Rights Program worked closely with the stakeholders to host outreach events with representatives from the 2 Native American organizations. Subsequently, at the invitation of the Native American stakeholders, OFCCP staff and tribal representatives held a meeting where they discussed the employment outreach programs, the availability of construction applicants for upcoming projects, and other upcoming hiring opportunities. OFCCP's website, you can find a toolkit which shares resources about mega projects. And you can find that on OFCCP, dol.gov/OFCCP, and the mega projects will be on there under additional information. If you should have any questions, please feel free to ask. We will answer as many questions as we can today and take down any questions that we don't have a chance to answer, or if we don't have the information, we'll follow up with you. We will update our FAQ page in the toolkit regularly for any information that may be listed on there if we don't have it today. If you have any questions, you can contact my agency, the regional office, which I provided right here. This is the regional office, 415-625-7800. And that's the end of the slide. I'll put it leave right here for everyone. Anybody have any questions?
Wonderful, Ed. Thank you so much for the presentation. If you do have any questions, feel free either to unmute and raise your hand or go ahead and enter it in the chat and we'll make sure that Ed gets your question. Wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Ed, I was just gonna let you know that the comment was in the chat for you.
Oh, thank you. The question is, are MOUs posted anywhere? The MOUs are posted on our website under the release of information section. So they have a section, release information, and in that section you can find historical cases that have been closed, any conciliation agreements, any findings against contractors, any settlements, and also the MOUs. It'll be on our OFCCP webpage.
Are there any other questions for Ed?
May I say something, Christina?
Oh, please do, Ed.
So, you know, a lot of the stuff is cut and dry. It's very tedious trying to put it all out there. However, one thing you should be aware of, the whole concept of mega projects is to increase diversity on the mega projects and to encourage contractors to be fully successful. So one of the things that OFCCP, at least the Pacific region, is doing is that we are providing information in a manner accessible to the general public and also contractors. We provide technical assistance guide for contractors. And why is that important? Because under construction, in construction versus supply and service audits, supply and services audits or contractors have to have a affirmative action program. They have to have an AAP. They have that thing in place. In construction, contractors fall under the 16 affirmative action steps, and those steps are listed in our technical assistance guide. So contractors and applicants or employees can look at those to see if their contractor is in compliance. But in that technical assistance guide, which we offer on our webpage, in that we break down all the regulations, all the requirements of OFCCP. We also list the 16 steps. What does the law say? Where you can find the law exactly, and then it gives you the best practices as how you can be in compliance with that. So I encourage, if you're a contractor on the web page on this today, I encourage you to go to our webpage, look at the technical assistance guide. We also have them for supply and service. We have it for educational institutions. We have it for small businesses. But since we're talking about mega, I encourage you to get the construction technical assistance guide. And with that, we offer informational sessions with contractors in order for them to be in compliance. We are there to help them be the best they can be and be successful. And we do that by providing group informational sessions to contractors, but also if necessary, you can call the district offices and we can help you walk through any questions you have about the requirements that OFCCP has for you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So my work is pretty much tradeswomen advocacy work, and I work with a couple of tradeswomen oriented groups in different states. And my question for you, Ed, is and we're trying to help these groups build capacity, connecting with stakeholders. And my question to you is, how would I go about finding a specific contact for the OFCCP in their respective areas?
So if what I heard you say is, how would you contact the local OFCCP office in the areas? Okay, so under our webpage, we have under the public information, there's a contact us, and let me try to find it. I'll put it in the chat. Basically, what I'm looking for it is a link that breaks down It's broken down by national office, and it'll tell you by the regions. So it'll give you the region number, the region, and you can contact the regional office and they'll give you the right office that you're like, which state you're in. But you can also break it down. It says by office, a district office on the hyperlink I'm going to put in the chat. And that will tell you, you click on the state you're questioning about, California, for example, and you click on the California and it'll populate all the offices. There'll be the district offices and the area offices in the chat. So hold on, let me get this in there real quick.
Okay, I think that's the same link I might have, but put it in there anyways, because I've been researching this for a couple of weeks. And would I contact the district or would I contact the local office?
Which one that you feel is closest to the
suitable.
job
Okay.
site. But if you call the district office, they'll always give you the closest office to your to the project you're looking at.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm almost there. I just couldn't get. I'm on a little laptop, so I was like trying to get the contact information. I got it right here, and I'll put the regional office. I'm at there. District and area offices. There we go. And here it is. Drop it in the chat right now. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good luck on the connections.
Yeah.
Thank you. Trying to get some women on these mega projects. It's a work in progress. A work in progress.
We're
So-
glad to have you with us today.
So
Thank
that,
you.
so that's a great thing. It's like, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to build up those connections also. We're trying to create the mega project database where we can give these contractors, subcontractors a pipeline of qualified applicants and the demographics we're looking for representation, for diversity. So if you feel like your organization can help provide the workforce.
We absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely could.
And so I don't know if it's still up there, or you can reach out to the region, or you can reach out to my district office. I mean, the regional office for the outreach division, and you can email us and we can push you in contact with the contractors that are going to be on these projects when they're published.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I think you put it in the chat earlier, right?
Yeah. So the email address for our office is then on the screen. It's OFCCP.
Yes, I took
Yeah.
a picture of that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody have any other questions? Christina, is there anything you think I should bring up, or you think you have any questions yourself?
I think, Ed, if there's any further website links, I put a ton in the chat while you were talking, but if there's other links or any kind of PDFs that you have that we can share out, I can always send those out to attendees after the training. And then, of course, the other thing we want to make sure to mention is this is the second workshop in a 20-part series. So this is going to go on for almost 2 years by the time we're done. And each meeting and workshop will have a different theme and topic. So just to bring up really quickly that the next meeting is August 19th at 1:30 p.m. And Corinna will be covering for us federal and state tribal apprenticeships. And Corinna is with the Office of Apprenticeship through USDOL. So we hope you'll join us again and make us a regular part of your monthly calendar. Ed, I just want to thank you so much for being with us today. And we are just about at time here. So if there are no further questions from attendees, we just want to thank you so much for joining us today on behalf of the Washington State Construction Center of Excellence.
All right. Thank you so much for allowing us to participate and promote OFCCP and the mega projects. And once again, we are here to help and facilitate contractors and workers on these projects.
Wonderful. Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much for your time today. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.